Hey YouTube, welcome back to the channel. Well, it's actually been a while since I put up a video. I was in the process of moving, and I don't know if you can tell from the background, I'm in the new place now, so now I can kind of focus on putting more videos up. This particular video today is getting back to the roots of why I started this channel. I realize this is a small channel, but when I was doing research for, to purchase my gun as far as new ownership, there's tons of videos out there, but what I didn't find was a lot of them that approached it telling you from someone's standpoint of what maybe the mistakes they made or wish they would have done differently to save themselves some money. So I kind of want to share my experiences with you guys and gals, so that you can save yourself some time and effort and make maybe a little better decision for you personally than I did my first time. But here goes. So, my first gun was a Ruger SR9, which you can probably tell from the title of this video. Did that gun suck? Absolutely not. That was a phenomenal firearm for most people. It ran flawlessly. I probably fired, I don't know, I lost count. I'm going to guess between 3,000 and 3,500 rounds through that gun. And only a couple of malfunctions when it was really cold outside. So, very reliable. It just in the end had features that didn't function very well for me as a left-handed person. So I traded it. So first off, this gun is clear. There's nothing in the chamber. I'm going to close the slide. So this is an HK VP9. This is my new handgun. This has features that the Ruger didn't offer. This is truly ambidextrous for a left-hander, which comes down to it. That's why I purchased it. I have kind of a tabletop thing I'm going to do. It's not really a review, but it's kind of showing you features of firearms that I'm going to show you here in a little bit. But that's why I traded it. Still have lots of love for Ruger. They're great firearms. I come from a Ruger family. But for me, I just needed something a little different. So that being said, we are going to cut to the other part of the video, and I will see you guys when you get back. Okay, guys, so to kind of illustrate what I was talking about in the intro, I have a assortment of three similar but different firearms here. And I kind of want to show you some subtle differences that maybe can make or break your firearm experience. When I purchased my first firearm, I rented a couple. I probably didn't rent as many as I should have. So if you're one of, we're in the middle of the kind of almost panic buying for new gun buyers right now because of the COVID-19 scares. First off, all these guns are clear. They're in the same condition as this one. There's nothing in them, which is why the slides are locked back. Just my public service announcement. Because of the panic buying, or whatever you want to call it, a lot of people who never thought they would ever purchase a firearm are rushing out to gun stores to purchase it. And a lot of them are going to make some mistakes because they're pretty much purchasing whatever's in the store just because they can get it, not because it's the right firearm for what they want to do or for them in general. So I kind of wanted to show, when you're looking at a firearm, if you still have ranges that are open in your town or city, go take advantage of their rental fleet and spend an afternoon shooting and learning what feels good to you, what's comfortable to shoot. And don't just buy, if you're don't just buy a gun because it's the only one they have in the store. I mean, if you can't operate it, then it doesn't do much good. So hopefully there's still going to be enough selection and you can get something that's good for you, that works for you. What I've got on the table right here, so these are both 9mm. This is the 22. Caliber I'm not talking about today. I'm talking about features and maybe things that you need to know that are going to work for you or are not going to work for you. So all these guns, they're all polymer, they're all striker fired. They all have three basic controls in common. So forget the frame safety that these two have, because this one doesn't have it. These all have a trigger safety. I mean, first off, these guns have more than just a trigger safety. There's internal safeties built into it. So unless you're just really uncomfortable not having a frame safety, you don't really need that. But with the trigger safeties on these, if you don't activate that safety, the trigger will not fire. So they all have that. They all have the magazine catch or magazine slide release, and then they all have the magazine releases. Or excuse me, slide release, not magazine release. Your magazine release is right here. So let's get the terms right. So those are your basic controls for the firearm. So the slide release allows you, if you've just put in a fresh magazine or if you're clearing a malfunction, it allows you one-handed to shut that slide. Okay, which I'll shut all these, makes it easier. So all of them do that. They all have the trigger safety. The magazine releases are a little bit different. Here's where I want to get into it. For 90% or better, I think, are the statistics of you are right-handed. So some of what I'm going to talk about today doesn't apply to you. So when I get to the other part of it, you know, hopefully you still watch the video, but maybe a good time to get up and go to the bathroom or refresh your cup of coffee or something. For all you righties out there, any one of these guns, you can operate with one hand, no problem, other than when you have to rack the slide. And the reason I bring that up is I got it. I don't know about you guys, but a lot of you guys or gals probably got your first firearm for the same reason I did. I want to be able to protect my family in the event of a break-in. So I want to be able to control this firearm completely with one hand. So I have this hand free to direct my kid, to get him out of the way, get him behind me, get him to safety, while still being able to address the threat with this. And I can do that with all these guns if I'm a right-handed person. Those of you who watch my channel know, well, I am not a right-handed person. Although I do train myself to shoot right-handed in case something happens to my left hand, my strong hand is my left. So that being said, let's flip these over for lefties. Can I shoot all these guns proficiently left-handed at a range? Absolutely. So the way these are set up, I would call, other than the frame safety, this has an ambidextrous frame safety, which this one doesn't. The frame safety is for right-handed people. But that aside, all these controls, if I'm at a range, you know, if I have to swap my magazine, you can train yourself pretty easy. You just use your finger here to do the magazine release. This one has been swapped over, and I'll swap this back before I give it back, but the magazine release on this one is set up for a lefty. So I can do that left-handed. As with this one, this is my new gun. This is the VP9. This has a European-style magazine release, which I really like and I looked for. There's two guns that I was looking at. It was either this one or the Walther PPQ. I got a really good deal on this one, so I went with the HK. That aside, this is the only gun on this table that has the slide release and the magazine release, everything I could do with my left-handed, while still freeing up my right hand to direct my child away from the threat or out of my way if I actually need to use this. One big reason I am glad I upgraded from the Ruger to this one. My Ruger had an ambidextrous magazine release and a frame safety, but the other controls were not ambidextrous. I could not completely control that firearm with just my left hand if I needed to. There are certain operations where I'd have to use both hands, which, again, if you're at a gun range, that's not a huge deal, but hopefully you're never in this situation. But if you're in an intense situation and you, for some reason, can't use your other hand, well, like all righties, I want to be able to use my strong hand to control this firearm. So that's one of the three reasons that I actually traded the Ruger in on this one. And don't get me wrong, I loved that Ruger. I shot probably, I'm guessing, over 3,000 rounds through that in the last year. For some of you, it might sound like a lot. For some of you, it might sound like, well, you don't spend enough time in the range. For me, it was what I did. So the controls started to bother me because I started thinking about situations if I couldn't do it completely left-handed. The two other reasons were, even though that one had an ambidextrous magazine release, it didn't have anything like a shroud to cover it. And what I noticed is when I carried that gun, so the magazine release was right about here, and if you haven't seen my videos, I'm Well, let's just say I'm good friends with gravity. I'm a pretty big guy. So when I had this in my holster, several times this would bump up against like the B pillar in my car, and when I would go to get out, my magazine was out like this, and I'd stand up and the magazine would fall out. So not the greatest thing in the world to do. Most of you aren't as big as I am, so that's probably not a problem. But again, this was a mistake that I made that I didn't know about, and I'm trying to pass on to you guys so you have the knowledge. The biggest reason I traded that particular firearm in on this one of the three is, so all of these guns have a breakdown lever of some sorts. So this one's kind of Glock style. This one's kind of Glock's a little different. This one has a takedown lever. My Ruger had a takedown pin that you had to, when you take these guns, there's not a pin you have to pull all the way out. My Ruger did it. It had a plate it spanned from here to here. There was flat metal on this side, and the pin you had to take out. Well, being a lefty, that pin, if I was at a range day and I'd fired 150 or 200 rounds, that plate on that pin got so hot, I actually blistered my trigger finger several times, which just became, I started to not enjoy the gun. And if you don't enjoy shooting the gun you have, you're not going to want to shoot it. That being said, those three reasons caused me to start to look for something better for my situation. So those are the things I want you guys to think about, whether you're right or left-handed. Do some research on the gun and find out what's going to work for you and what's not going to work, and hopefully you guys don't make what could potentially be a costly mistake if you have to trade firearms. I lucked out and I found this at a local gun store in extremely good shape but used, and because of the panic buying right now, the value on my Ruger had gone up, so it cost me very little to trade it on this one, which doesn't happen all the time. Also, for a lot of you new gun owners, so right now ammo is kind of scarce, so you kind of have to get just whatever you can get. However, I have two different types. I have more than two different brands on here, but I have two different types of ammunition on here right now. So for those of you who are newer to gun ownership, this is called Full Metal Jacket. This is range ammo. This is practice ammo. So you take this when you want to shoot. This is much less costly than this. This is a self-defense ammunition. So normal prices, these are, I said in my video, like this is going to cost you between 17 and 20 cents a round. Defense ammo is, well, you can spend up to 50 cents or more on a round on this stuff. But get both. This is going to be what you're going to train with, but this runs the risk of over-penetration and eventually you have to shoot in your house. This is designed to stop intruders. So get both and buy at least, they come in boxes of 20 or 25 for the defense ammo. This is Hornady Critical Defense. I've got some Sig Sauer stuff here too. Buy 1 or 2 boxes of this and shoot each one of them through your gun, because some guns are going to run one brand just fine, and some with the self-defense and the hollow points can be a little finicky, so you got to know what's going to run through your gun. All of them are going to run the Full Metal Jacket because it's got a round point on there, but do yourself a favor and buy more of this than this so you can go train with it. So hopefully that part of the video wasn't too long, but I hope that kind of helps you understand some of the mistakes that I made on my first purchase, and hopefully they help you avoid making those mistakes with your first purchase. Alright guys, I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so I hope you liked that video. I hope it wasn't too long, but again, I just wanted to show everybody some things that you may not know to think of as a new gun owner. For all of you who've recently made, even though it's considered panic purchasing right now, but all of you guys and gals who have went out and, even if you thought you'd never purchase a gun, have made your first firearm purchase, awesome. Hats off to you. I would just encourage you to, not required, but at least if you haven't grown up around guns, go take a basic handgun course and get a little bit of training so you're safe with it. And spend some time at the range if you happen to have ranges that are still open. That being said, welcome to gun ownership. It can be a lot of fun. You can be, I swore I'd never become that gun guy, right? I just wanted something to protect my family. Some of you that's how you may end up being. And some people, it just starts to get to a hobby and almost an addiction. Either way, welcome to the world. But if you liked the video, please like it, share it, and subscribe. And as always, shoot safe.